もしやコスモでは。
Cosmo needs me free.
Cosmo AP Luxury Sports.
It's been a few days since I've worked on the Cosmo. Finding that big rusty hole in the floor kind of depressed me a little, and I was just busy doing some other things, including an electric vehicle show in Toronto. So I really haven't messed with it for a few days. But there is nothing that cures the depression one feels by finding a big rusty hole in the floor than a shipment of a whole bunch of new parts. Over the past few days, a whole bunch of stuff has arrived. The first was a Atkins 13B GSL SE rebuild kit with Atkins Apex seals and the stock Mazda corner seals. The second was some POR 15 engine enamel in black and aluminum. And finally, a bunch of stuff from AutoWalk, including a shaved door kit, shaved door trunk actuator, power window actuators with automatic up and down. So that should keep me going for a while. Based on the amount of rust on these floors, the carpet's going to have to come out, and all the interior tar is going to have to be removed with dry ice so that I can get a clear view of what needs to be repaired. I think these bolts will allow me to remove this back trim and take the back of the carpet out. I really don't know for sure though. There's a screw. Now this looks nasty, but much of it is probably surface rust, which is easily taken care of by a wire wheel and some POR 15. It looks like I can pull the carpet up now. This thing is nasty and a little damp. It's also stuck to the underpadding. Ugh. I was hoping that it might be able to be re-dyed or something, but I don't think so. Ugh, it's moist. There we go. Yuck. Now this is where things get a little interesting because the carpet is up under the dash. And I'm really not sure how it's secured under there. So whether it slides out, I don't know. I'm not really concerned with damaging it too much, but it's nice for it to come out in one piece. See, if it comes out in one piece, I know how to put the new one back in. After wrestling with the carpet for about 10 minutes, I found out this is why it's not coming out. So what I'm going to do is take an X-Acto knife and cut down the center so it'll slide right out. That way I'll at least still be able to preserve the shape so that I can make a new one. So as nasty as this is, I have to hold on to it so I have a template for when I make a new one. Ugh, it's moist. All of this jute padding now gets pulled up and goes right into the garbage. Ugh. God, this dust is horrid. I'm gonna get like syphilis or something. What's that in mouse droppings? The hantavirus? Yeah, I probably already have that. This is a cooler of 15 pounds of dry ice, which is probably the best way to remove the tar off the floor of the car. And the best thing about dry ice is, if you end up with a whole bunch of extra dry ice, you can have really awesome fizzy drinks for like a week. Okay, now I've never actually done this before, but the theory is that putting dry ice onto the tar will freeze it to make it easy to remove. So, got some dry ice, and here's some tar. Dry ice is now on the tar. The dry ice has been sitting about 20 minutes, so we're going to try to get some of this tar off. It should just chip right off. As you can see, I've kind of been playing with it a little. Oh yeah, look at that. You can't argue with that. So that makes this job a joy, and normally it's, I'd rather kiss a hooker on the mouth than doing this. So with the dry ice, it's just very pleasant. So all you people on the RX-7 forum that didn't believe me when I said to use dry ice to remove your tar, here's your proof that Aaron is always right. The trick seems to be to get it really, really cold. If it's only slightly cold, it doesn't quite work. Oh, I pulled the little round floor patchy thing out. This side is not coming out as easily as the last side. Oops. I spoke too soon. In total, it took about an hour and 45 minutes to completely clear this side. After screwing around with the hammer and screwdriver for a few hours, a friend of mine suggested that I just use the air hammer, which has made a significant difference. If you do this, use the air hammer. The majority of the tar just comes off with the dry ice, but the residue is easily removed with a little bit of kerosene. Just kind of brush it on, let it sit, don't set it on fire, and then wipe it off with a cloth. After a little soak in kerosene, most of the remaining bits of tar kind of wipe right off. Now this does make a huge and dangerous mess, and of course now I have the awesomer task of, removing the kerosene. now I just have to get the remaining kerosene residue off, so I'll just use some brake cleaner and compressed air, and that way I won't have any problems with paint adhesion later. Because even after blasting, some of the residue could remain. There's so much rust on these floors in places that it would take me forever to clean it all up with the wire wheel, and it just wouldn't be a very good job. So I am going to sandblast the floors. The only thing about blasting is that it creates an enormous mess, and the media wants to go everywhere. So I'm plasticking up the air inside in the hopes of at least controlling some of the blast media, keeping it on the floor. Well, this is the last sheet going on, and the car is at this point fully enclosed. I think this will probably go a long way to keeping most of the blasting media in the car, and then what does leak out will be completely manageable. A sandblaster is awesome to have around, but you need a big compressor to run it. The grit that I usually use is copper slag. It's really aggressive and really cheap. It's like $9 for a 50-pound bag. Well, that was fun, and by fun I mean really not fun at all. I'm probably going to spend the next day getting the blasting grit out of the car and out of the shop, and I'll probably be vacuuming the stuff out of the car 20 years later. But I think it was worth it. At least I hope it was worth it. And now, after a few hours of sandblasting and about an hour of vacuuming, this is what I'm left with. Sandblasting has the tendency to discover far more rust than you previously thought was there. Well, it looks like the floor is going to be a bit of a bigger project than I thought, so what I'm going to do now is probably just leave it for the time being because I'm sick of working on it. It's not going anywhere, and I'd rather do some much more fun things like, I don't know, maybe build an engine next.